Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I am Deb Burton, the founder and creator of RI Elder Info and rielderinfo.com. And every Friday, I come on here on Friday Friends with special guests to share about information and resources that you need to know about. We've talked about all kinds of really cool things. So if you've missed other episodes, I encourage you to go back and watch them after you watch today's show, of course. What we're going to talk about today is something that is going to impact folks for all ages. So I really encourage you to hit the like button and share this out. Share it with your friends, any groups that you're in, share it with your community groups, because we're going to talk about some really cool stuff today that is really helpful and available to you for free. But we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we would not be able to do this without the generosity of our sponsors. So I have a big shout out to Oak Street Health. They have multiple locations across the state: Warwick, Providence, Woonsocket. They even provide transportation to their doctors' offices. And I know that that's something that is often a challenge for many people. Also, United Healthcare, they are a Medicare healthcare provider here in the state. It is open enrollment. So if you have any questions, let me know and I can give you Jennifer Barrow's number for you to have all your Medicare questions answered. Also, Tamarisk Assisted Living, it's a nice little assisted living right over by the mall. It gives your family member or yourself the care that you need and want in a home-like environment. Also, D&B Media does the magic behind the stage here, and the Work of England studio is represented in rielderinfo.com. It is an award-winning website, and it's been validated for ease of use and ease of navigation, so I encourage you to check out rielderinfo.com as well, after the show, of course. So today, I am really excited to bring on my guest. She's been on the show before, and we're talking about an entirely different topic this time. So one of the things that's happened during the pandemic is more people have started businesses than ever before. And many of those entrepreneurs are older adults, so people over 50. So I thought that was super exciting. So I'd like to welcome Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea up.
Hey, hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
So I was reading this really cool stuff that a lot of the new entrepreneurs are individuals over the age of 50. We've got like some record numbers of new businesses starting lately. Can you tell folks what is available at your office for new businesses, entrepreneurs, and maybe even the nonprofits?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a joy to see that despite the pandemic, people are still believing in Rhode Island, and they're doing it by starting their businesses or their nonprofits. Small businesses and entrepreneurs really are the backbone of our economy. And I've made it my mission to give them the tools to succeed by changing the way that government works. And so I'm very proud to say that my office is really unique. It's kind of like it started, to become a one-stop shop in terms of how you start a business. We're unique among other secretaries of state in that we've developed very close partnerships with business support organizations like our Chambers of Commerce and SCORE and the Small Business Association and the Center for Women in Enterprise, the Hispanic Chamber, the Black Business Association. All those organizations we work hand in glove with. And so what happens is, unlike in other places where people go and just file their paperwork and go out the door and go like, okay, what's next? When you come to the Rhode Island Department of State, whether that be by appointment in person, because that's where we are with COVID, or online, you find, a cheering squad. Like, how can we help you do this? And
I can attest that is true. Your team there at the desk, like, they're so nice. They're just nice people.
Thank you. And I love telling Rhode Islanders, and particularly business owners, when they say things like that, these are 15, 20, even 30 years state employees that are all members of a labor union. And I say that because that's one of the stereotypes that, oh, it can't happen here because of this or that.
Yep.
It can happen. And what's different is honestly the leadership. You've got to have a different kind of leadership to be able to get people to work that way in the public sector. And so you also have to come with some new ideas. And so some of the things that we've done is to develop educational tools, step-by-step instructions, and interactive applications that make sure that businesses can get the help they need when they need it, even in the language that they need it. One of the first things I did when I came into as Secretary of State was to go to my business services division and say, okay, we've got all these forms for all these purposes. First of all, let's do a lean training. Let's train you on how to think of things differently. And let's go through that process. Let's consolidate forms. Let's ask, why are we still asking this? If it's in statute, let's delete it so that you don't have to, you go to the legislature and you clean things up. And then we took the remaining, forms and said, let's put them in nice font with little bubbles that explain what it is. If you need greater explanation, let's put a number that you can call if you're filling it out and you're kind of lost. And all of those things scream, we're here with you, as opposed to we're the government and you're on your own. So there's no reason why a government form or a process needs to be hostile to the people that it's serving. Right. And that's what, what we have. And business owners come to us to have a seamless access to resources. Now we've even built workshops, information on financial assistance, one-on-one mentoring. And so, it's big. It's really important now more than ever for government to be there to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. And so that's why we've continued to do things like have appointments during the pandemic. And we even came up with like virtual meetings. You can actually schedule a virtual office appointment with our business services staff just to seamlessly continue to do that. So, all of that, I'm proud to say, has had a really big impact. And, we actually streamlined our website too. And so if you haven't been on our website, I really encourage you to go to sos.ri.gov. It happened to be launched a few days before the stay-at-home order, as luck would have it. And so everything that needs to be filed with the Business Services Division can be submitted electronically through that new website. And businesses are loving it. We had in 2019, we went from, we had 75% of new filings were being done online. And then 67% of annual reports had been filed online. Last year, we went from 75% for new filings to 84% of new filings being done online, and from 67% of annual reports to being done online to 72%. And that's all because we've simplified the process. So I encourage you, if you're still doing it by paper, give it a shot.
It is very easy. I do have my attorney file, but it is a very simple process. And I have to say, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I'm with RI Elder Info as the founder and creator as a nonprofit. The interesting thing is if you're filling out those forms and you get stuck, like, you can reach a real person in your office.
Yep.
Like that I think is one of the things that really sets your office apart from some of the others. They're also, I find, willing to answer questions. Mm-hmm. So for example, one of the things that a lot of people hear but maybe don't understand is that there is a tax when you have an LLC, and that is at one time of the year, but then there is an annual report that is at another time of the year, and those two are two trains on different tracks. And your office is actually one of the places that can, help clarify that, of what does the Secretary of State's office do, and then where do you need to go for filing the LLC tax pieces. That those two trains don't meet.
And that's because one is overseen by taxation and the other one is in my office. And so, we've looked at places where we can do that kind of synchronicity of dates so that we can help people. And I'll give you an example. This doesn't have to do with the fees, but it does have to do with the reporting. We used to have a system by law where corporations would file at one time of the year, LLCs would file at another time of the year, nonprofits would file at a different time of the year. So now, why was that? That was because back in the paper days, we would get boxes and bins of annual reports that would then eventually be transferred into a data process, right? So you were managing the paper flow coming in from the mail. So now that, we have, over 80% of some of these documents like being filed online, it's more confusing to people to have different dates because all they hear is, oh, annual report is due. Oh, did I? No, you're a nonprofit. No, you're an LLC. So we went to the legislature and said, okay, this has outlived its usefulness. Let's just have it all one date and we'll be much better off and businesses will be much better off. And so that's an example of, something that seems very simple, but because it was in the law, you have to go back to the legislature. I can't come in as Secretary of State and say, okay, this is really stupid and it's really causing a lot of problems. Can we just have one date? No, it's in the law. And then now you have to go in and do this like complicated process. And so that's what you have to do. And I think to me, a lot of the barriers to government is people sort of looking at this and going like, I need to pass a law, forget it. I'm not going to. No, let's do it. Let's move the bureaucracy forward. Let's move our government forward into the digital age and make it easier for others. All of our business records right now are on file and available for view and download for free.
Oh, wow.
Like all of them at this point. I mean, that was a big project that we started back when I was a deputy secretary of state 20 years ago. Then I went to Housing Works Rhode Island, and then I came back and they were still doing it. And I finally got to see it through, which is really exciting. And so that's one of the new features of our website. We have a business basics page that contains a wealth of information and important things that you need to consider when planning a business. The thing about the taxes is one of them, right? What are the fees? We put in an estimator so that the person gets not just like, okay, you're going to start, a restaurant. What are all the different forms and agencies that you need to go to from the statewide level? But also, how much money do you think you might need to start it? Because it's not just the $50 because now I have my own name or, and sometimes with people who start consulting businesses, they'll get all excited and start it. And then life happens and you decide you're not going forward. You had never really developed the business. And since you didn't have any income, you think, okay, whatever. And then years later, you realize, oh, you incurred a tax liability because taxation was counting you as a real business, and it doesn't matter. It's in law. Like there's no amnesty for this. Like you have to charge that tax over time. So all of this, we tried to put in the information of our business basics page up front so that people know and can budget the costs and fees of having a business. Which goes to another topic that we really brought up in the new website redesign, which is how do you maintain your business? That section lays out all the things to do every single year to keep your business healthy, paying your taxes and keeping you out of trouble, so that you can do that. Now, a lot of times people are excited. They have a real sense of like, oh, I think this business would be really good, but they don't have all the information. And so we created a Rhode Island Business Data Hub, which by the way, won a national award, that takes the information that my office collects and then combines it with US Census data and creates what we call, it's a fancy word, but interactive visualizations. What it means is a pretty design that lets you find and understand the information that you're doing, that helps you conduct market research. So again, these are all resources that are here for free as you're thinking of starting or growing your business even, so that you can move forward. Yeah, no, we're really excited. And then our latest addition has been these workshops that we've developed on starting a business in Rhode Island. They're taped, so you can look them up on our. They're mostly, I think, on the LinkedIn page. We have a LinkedIn page for the Business Services Division. But call my office, and we'll definitely put you through to where to find the particular workshop that you're looking for.
Yeah, I watched your series of 3 workshops for the nonprofits, and there was some really great information that I encourage, other nonprofits, particularly small nonprofits, to really watch those videos. It made everything very easy to understand.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people have these great ideas and they get maybe a little nervous about, all right, how do I birth this business?
Yeah.
And it gets scary, like, oh my God, what if I do the wrong thing?
And that's where business fails a lot of the time, and where we've made a real remarkable change at the Department of State, which is to say, wow, you got this idea, that's great. Like, let's see what we can do to help you do it. And then, and the results are there, right? Even with the huge impact of COVID, we had 10,533 new businesses file with my office last year. That was a record. Now, what's even more astonishing, just last week, we're at 10,851. So we already blew past last year's record of 10,533. We've got 10,851 new incorporations. And so I'm thrilled to, see that, all this work that we've put forward is really helping people, run their businesses.
And grow. That is growing the economy in Rhode
Mhm.
Island. So it is helping Rhode Island improve.
Yeah.
And, that's wonderful. That increases, the overall state tax base and all of these other, trickle down effects. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, it goes back to, it's the backbone of our economy. And it's where I believe our state's focus should be. It's in growing our own.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, and the other thing I've found on your website is your corporate database search. And, with the holidays coming up, there's a lot of folks out there who might say that they are a nonprofit. Maybe they're legitimate, maybe they're not, but they can look that up on the corporate database to see, like, is it real?
Well, and are they up to date in their paperwork and their filings? Now, I do want to state that our database for nonprofits is a Rhode Island nonprofit. What that says is that it's an incorporated entity that is allowed to not be taxed locally for state taxes. It is not the IRS database. There's a separate database, and I just want to make that clear for everybody. That then is what you would say, okay, well, I want to give like $100 to this organization so I can claim it, and I'll claim it on my taxes. For that, you have to go to the IRS database. But yes, you can at least see whether that nonprofit is active, it's done its annual reports, who are the officers, things like that. The other thing that, as the holidays come up is, more and more people are going on cyber and, participating, whether to be seen with their relatives online and things like that, the grandkids. So we actually have developed a cybersecurity information brochure, particularly geared towards older Rhode Islanders. I never thought that I would have to learn as much as I have as Secretary of State about the dangers of the internet. But thanks to everything that's happened in our elections, and protecting them, I have. And I want to make sure, whether it's a business or in your own personal capacity, that you are protected from bad actors on the internet. And so this cybersecurity handout, basically identifies for people what are some of the most common schemes that are used to target them. And so that is available on our website. And it's also going to be available if you have you're living in an assisted living or some sort of residential building. We're willing to go and deliver printed copies of them as well. In the process of talking to some of the senior high rises about that, because it's really important. Some of those cyber phishing attacks they're hard to figure out. They're
yes.
really trying to manipulate you. And so I want to make sure that all my seniors here in Rhode Island are kept safe and know how to distinguish, what's somebody trying to scam them and somebody who's, and how to use the internet safely.
Yeah. And some of the phishing scams are, I want to say, both high tech and low tech. So I get them, as a nonprofit, as a public out there, it's not like my email is a secret. So some of them are, here's your receipt for such and such a product. If you feel this was charged inappropriately, click this link. And that's all it takes.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm hitting the delete button on that.
Yeah. No, I just got one by text about some Amazon package or something. I'm like, I haven't ordered from Amazon lately. No, I'm not. Delete. Yeah. And so it's better for you to instead go to your Amazon account through the website initiated by you if you have any questions than it is for you to click on that link.
Yes, absolutely. So we just had the election year. Do you feel that our elections were legitimate, secure, all those things that we see in the media accused of not being?
The big lie, as we call it. No, yes, they absolutely were. In fact, I am so proud of Rhode Island because, our local boards of canvassers, our poll workers, many of whom might be actually watching, our state board of elections and my own department, my elections division worked so hard, and we've gotten only, praise from Rhode Islanders wherever we go about how well the election ran, how people were excited, whether they voted by mail, whether they voted early, whether they voted on election day. People felt that they were able to express themselves through that vote and that they did so safely and securely. And so I am thrilled that Rhode Island's the outlier and actually a national leader in the delivery of elections in our country. And I'm watching with a lot of concern. I have fellow secretaries of state in Michigan, in Arizona, Colorado. These are all women who are doing a fantastic job and are under death threats. And that is really an astonishingly low point for our country, that public officials are now being threatened for doing their job right and for calling it how it is. And so, yes, I wake up every morning thankful that I live and work in Rhode Island.
So, speaking of elections, I've heard that you're going to be running for governor.
Yes, you have heard right. I am, and I'm excited about it because same thing that we were talking about in terms of making it easier for people to access their government. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I hope to do. And what I'm getting from a lot of Rhode Islanders as I just walk into the grocery store or I go to festivals is that they're excited. They're excited because they've seen the work I've done as a leader through our elections processes, through our business services division, through making sure that our teachers have the kind of Rhode Island history and civics tools that allow them to teach Rhode Island history in their classroom. And again, it goes back to the way that I do things. I'm not one to order people to do stuff. I'm one to say, okay, we need to get there. How are we going to do this? And how can I help? And I think that's a much more effective way to lead in the public sector than the mandates and just sort of saying, I have the solutions for everything. I'm in the process of talking to a lot of Rhode Islanders about that Rhode Island that they wish to see. I have my own ideas, of course. And a lot of it revolves around making sure that our local economy grows. I mean, you've seen it in my focus in business services. I want Rhode Island businesses to grow. If somebody else wants to come from the outside, that's great, but that's not where I think our tax dollars should be focused. It should be focused on growing our local economy. And how do we do that? By making sure that Rhode Islanders have access to a quality education, whether they're 3 years old or 70 years old. We're now in a world, thanks to technology, that really requires constant learning. How do we ensure that somebody whose job now has changed at 55 is able to continue to contribute the experience and the talent and the skills that they have for another 10, 15 years, whatever they want? That is really important to me. Housing. We have to make sure that housing is affordable across a variety of demographics. If somebody wants to build an in-law and has the space for it, why shouldn't they allow for that so that their parents can live there with them? If somebody wants to, build family housing, that should be welcomed in our communities. And we should be doing it green and incentivizing, the green development of housing in our state, along with, making sure that communities are able to service them. So a lot of the challenges to building more housing have to do with, I don't want, my property taxes to go up. And this is something that affects a lot of seniors.
Yep.
Well,
NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Let's have a conversation about how maybe more of the education costs should come out of the statewide, funds instead of property taxes. Because we all need to have an education system that works well if we're going to have a good economy. Yep. So that, and then the challenges of climate change. So I'm going to be working on all those things. But I'm going to, with me, that I'm someone who does what she says she's going to do. And I look forward to more conversations with Rhode Islanders as this campaign moves forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I encourage everybody, if you're starting a business, starting a nonprofit, visit the Secretary of State's website. It is really easy to use. And even if you get stuck on something, you can call her office and reach nice people. Like I attest, everyone, every time I've called, they've really gone out of their way to be helpful. And I feel like that is much needed. Yeah. Much needed.
Well, I want to thank you, Deb, for the incredible work that you do to get this great information out to our seniors. A lot of times I think it's so overwhelming. There's so much information out there. To have a trusted source like you, this is, I know, a labor of love for you. And I really appreciate what you're doing to help inform our seniors and keep them going in our society, because we need you. We need all hands on deck as we
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, thank you very much for taking your time this morning to meet with me. This has been great sharing this information with all of the community. Usually we talk about older adults, but I've seen a lot of older adults are the new entrepreneurs, which I think is so exciting. Yep. So I appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Deb. Take care. Bye-bye.
So a lot of amazing information, and truly, as a serial entrepreneur for businesses and as the executive director of a nonprofit, I have visited the Secretary of State's office, their website, on a frequent basis, and it really is easy to use, and the people there are really nice, which makes things a lot easier when you're first starting out or first giving birth to a new creation, a new idea. But it really is exciting and fun to do. And I encourage you, if you have an idea, go for it. Don't look back and wonder, what if I had tried that? Have that adventurous spirit to go forward. Also, on another note, on November 4th, right here. So if you're seeing me here, you'll be able to see me then. On November 4th, we will be having our second annual Senior Resource Fair. We're going to be talking about some really amazing topics: Medicare, Medicaid, emergency preparedness. What are they doing at the senior centers? What is Alzheimer's? Really some great stuff. And I encourage you to join. We would not would not be possible to have the virtual senior resource fair without the support of our sponsors. So huge shout out to Commonwealth Care Alliance. Really grateful for their support. And it's going to be amazing. Last year we had thousands of viewers. I'm hoping this year that we go way beyond that. But I look forward to seeing you all again next Friday. And in the meantime, I hope that you are all staying well. See you next week.
If you liked this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.